Hey YouTube, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Well, the reason why I come on here is because I want to make a kind of an impromptu video about more of the reasons why I'm leaving the U.S. And I wanted to also ultimately, toward the end of the video, talk about what I'm going to be leaving behind. But before I get into that, I want to recognize the new subscribers that have come on board my channel. I want to say, hey, welcome. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad you're here. I hope there's something I say that you can get either as entertainment or as content that you can incorporate in your own research as you ready to make a major move such as I'm about to make. And if this is your first time tuning into my channel, I'm encourage you to listen to my content. And if you like where I'm going and what I'm doing and you want to follow me, hit thumbs up and then subscribe and then become a part of the community. And together we can move from here. I'm moving overseas, and so I plan to take each and every one of you with me. So the first thing I want to talk about, some of the reasons, more of the reasons why I'm leaving the United States and things that make me unhappy here is mainly because of lack of financial freedom. Cost of living has gotten really high. I call it sky high for a retiree, for a person who's retired, for a person who's getting a set income, a fixed income. Prices have gotten way too high. Groceries, rent, product, services, no matter which way you turn, everything is high. And so when I was approaching retirement, I had a certain goal in my head, a certain vision of myself and how I would do in retirement. But those things are slowly dissipating because cost of living has gone up, and the cost of living increase in my retirement benefits are not catching up with the inflation. So I have less of a wiggle room, as I call it, or less of a cushion to work with. And so things are getting a little tighter than I'm comfortable with. As the saying go, too close for comfort. So anyway, financially, the freedom is not there. I don't have the freedom to just take a little weekender, go where I want to go, do what I want to do, stay as long as I want to stay, only because I know that the money is, will soon run out as far as the amount I've budgeted, and that's not freedom. So I like to be able to do whatever I want to do and just don't have a real concern in the back of my mind as to how much I'm spending, how much I need to save, how much I need to budget, and all of that. And so lack of financial freedom is one of the top, matter of fact, it is the top reason why I'm leaving the U.S. Also, self-happiness. When you're in a tight like that, you're in a tight budget, tight squeeze, lack of a cushion, it's hard to be happy. It's hard to just kind of let go, be yourself, and be happy. You always got to be conscious of the numbers. You got to look at your expenses. You got to look at your income, and you're kind of hoping that your expenses is now outrunning your income. So you don't want a whole lot more leaving than coming in. You want to be able to save some, and so that's what I've always wanted to do. And I'm saving, but it ain't in the speed that I would have liked to do it. So in order for me to be happy, I like to be something I don't have to be thinking about all the time. And so self-happiness has a lot to do with it. Also, it's just simply to fulfill a dream. Now, I've always had a dream. When I was younger, I worked in the automotive plant, and every time we got a profit sharing check, I would always use my money to go somewhere outside the country. Now, in those days, in my 20s, going outside the country meant going to one of the Caribbean locations, whether it's St. Thomas or St. John's or the Bahamas or Aruba or Jamaica or one of those Caribbean locations. And so I enjoyed that, and I always went to a coastal community because I always enjoyed the beach. I fell in love with the beach when I was in my 20s. I like the vibe. I like the sand. I like the water rolling up on the sand, the sound of it, just the whole thing. And so I like that. And so after I had those types of experiences, I just decided that I would just start calling myself a world-class beach bum. Because I love being in the beach. I love the vibe. I love the people. It's just like everything is different when you're on the beach. It is soothing. It's good for you mentally. And so I just absolutely love the beach. And so I had determined within myself that one day this is going to be a lifestyle. And so that's a big dream. And then fast forward a little bit, I've had several chances to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and just kind of hang out on the beach and on the boardwalk and stand in hotels that face the water. So at night you can hear the water crashing in. And that's a beautiful vibe. I enjoy that. And so that's a dream I've had. I've had a chance to go to Florida, checked out a couple beaches in Florida. I enjoy just all that did is reconfirm what I've always dreamed of. And so that's what I want for myself. And so many years when I was on the assembly line building autos and auto parts, that's what I thought about. You're on the assembly line and the parts come every 60 seconds and it takes about 60 seconds to work the part, and then it takes off and you got another 60 seconds to wait on it. Then you get the next part, and all in those between those parts, all I'm thinking about is the beach. The plants that I work for, they allow you to have a little music in your ear. So, you got your little music in the background and you're thinking about the beach and how you gonna, spend your time on the beach. So I've always said while I was working, well, when I retire, I'm going to the beach. But at that time, I wasn't thinking about moving to a location with a beach. I was thinking about, I had enough money, a little cash flow where I can live my life, do what I need to do, and then spend many weekenders or many vacation time spots, on the beach. But as I've said earlier, that cushion is starting to close in. So it's making it a little more difficult to be able to live that type of dreams, that type of lifestyle. And so that's a little disappointing. And so, yes, I've always had that dream. Another thing is, it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, is the direction that our country is going. I'm really disappointed. It's a lot of division, a big divide. The left fighting against the right, and and just the level of racism is a little rough in this country. And so, as a human being, you want to be respected, as a human being, and you want, to, just like I said, have a little respect. And so it's harder and harder to see that coming together here in this country. And so this country is a country where everybody's against everybody. It's us against them. They put labels on you. They put you in categories. They put names on you, So you want to go somewhere where that don't exist. You want to feel like a human. You want to be respected just like everybody else. You want to enjoy life just like everybody else enjoying life. And so in this country, that's not the case. So I kind of want to get away from that and kind of, air my head out and think, wake up in the morning without thinking about, what's going on in the country this week or what happened today. I kind of want to get away from those types of things. And so I just didn't like the direction of the country. So that's one of the reasons why I want to leave. Another reason is the high cost of medicine and the medical costs and the insurance, the medical, everything is really expensive. Unfortunately, we live in a country that everything the corporation put its hands on is for a profit, and not just a profit, a big profit. So you can't do anything without, costs. Everything costs high. The copay costs high. I got a particular medicine I take. The copay is so high, and I get. So that means every 3 months, I have to cut into monies that was budgeted for another area of my expenses. And so that's not good. And so medical costs is so high until I want to go somewhere where medical costs is not so high, where the cost of living is low enough where I can afford and fund my own medical costs. So that's another thing that I'm looking forward to. Another thing is I'm not getting any younger. I'm not getting any younger. You know, when I was young, you know, I had dreams. You know, when I'm getting older, I still have dreams. I still have vision. I still have places to go, people to see, things to do, cultures to learn about. And so I'm looking forward to that. You know, I'm not getting younger. So, you know, I'm blessed with my health. You know, I'm able to wake up every morning, you know, and move about within, you know, reasonable health and strength. And so while I have that, I want to be able to do that. One of the things that I don't want to do is put myself in a position where I look back and say, man, I had an opportunity to do this, but I didn't do it. And I wonder what it would have been like had I gone, or what would it have been like, you know, had I gone and just enjoyed myself. What did I miss? I don't want to put myself in that position. So I'm not getting any younger. And so I think the time to do it is now. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And so, hey, if you're in the same situation and you're thinking along these lines and you have a dream of just being outside the country, and it could be anywhere, you know, hey, plan. I do a lot of planning. And in one of my future videos, I'm going to spell out all of the way I plan, where I researched it, so you can get a sense of what I put together, and you can put together your own little planning portfolio so that you can make your move. But that's what I'm not getting younger, so I'm gonna make that move. And I'm doing my research, I'm doing my planning, and so that's what I'm headed for. And then the big thing is, you know what I'm leaving behind. I'm leaving everything. I'm leaving everything I know, everything I've come to know. All of my belongings, everything I own is for sale. You know, when you get my age, you're in the baby boomers age, you know, you've been around, you've accumulated some things, you've got some things, you know, and so now you have to do a liquidation. You have to sell everything because it's not practical to ship it overseas. It costs too much. Matter of fact, you can buy it again when you get overseas. So I'm in the process of selling everything. I've sold furniture. I've sold almost all of my artwork, you know, and I love my artwork. I like getting up in the morning, looking on the walls and just smiling and say, hey, yeah, this is what it was all about. Well, I've sold all of that. And so I'm in the process of getting rid of everything. And I'm not in a position where, you know, if I was to get a few things and put it in storage and say, okay, if it don't work, I can come back and I can get life started again here with these things. I'm not in that position because I'm selling everything, which means when I leave, I don't plan on owning anything. So when I get there, I have no intentions of failure. I'm going to count up the costs, check out, you know, keep my budget tight, keep my expenses tight, you know, and so I don't plan on failing. I don't plan on coming back except for to visit family and to visit, whatever family, my daughters, my sisters, but I have no plans on coming back long term. I plan to stay overseas long term. And so that's the goal. So I'm leaving everything behind. I'm not taking anything with me.